So this is spring 2024, and I'm pulling the Model A into the shop. There's a couple problems. When we were doing the kingpins, I was looking under the car and I saw a crack in the engine mount and a crack in the flywheel housing. After looking around, it seems like the flywheel housing crack is a pretty common problem. So it needs a new flywheel housing, and I suspect that this is contributing to the bad shifting that I had referred to in previous videos about how it's really hard for me to shift down. You have to, it's almost impossible. And people say to rev match. Yes, I'm trying to rev match. And it took me until I drove someone else's Model A, and I was very easily able to rev match and downshift to realize that there was something wrong with mine. And I'm hoping that this flywheel housing issue, where because there's a crack through it, it may be not aligned, transmission may not be aligned properly with the engine, and it's causing some of my hard shifting. I was also hearing kind of a knocking noise under load, so maybe driving about 40 miles an hour up a hill with your foot in it a little bit, and you just hear this like very low knocking sound. Yeah, I think that might be what this is, and it's been like this since I've owned it. So we're gonna pull it apart here and see if we can replace that flywheel housing and hope it fixes those problems. We also had another issue when I did the radiator replacement where the hood no longer fit. It was overlapping the radiator shroud, and there's a big gap at the back. And I think it's because the radiator was mounted too high. Not too sure. So while we deal with this flywheel housing, hopefully we can also fix the hood fitment issue at the end. Let's get started here by pulling the engine out. We'll get a good look at everything and see where to go from there. All right, we got Dad out there cleaning up an oil pan. And then I'm over here messing with these. The cowl mounts are all cracked out. This should be filled in, kind of like that side. But it's all busted out, so cracked out all the way around. So the body is sitting lower than it should, which I think is part of the problem why the radiator doesn't fit. So I'm gonna jack it up here. If I can get that to line up to where I think it's gonna be, and then we're gonna test the doors and see if the doors still close properly. If the doors still close after we jack it up, then I may weld that up. I think it's part of the problem why the radiator's not fitting. But that does remind me that I wanted to pull the radiator, both the old and new radiator, out and measure them against each other and see what's going on, so maybe I'll do that right now. All right, here's the radiators out, and I've been measuring them. I don't think the Brassworks radiator is the problem for the most part. There might be a difference in front to back on the mounting hole that I need to adjust when I get on the car. And actually, when I installed it, I had to notch these holes out because that was just a straight hole, but I notched it because the holes on the car were a little bit wider than the holes in the radiator, so I did have to modify that. And then I also figured out overflow tank here. The front corner of the overflow tank is actually hitting the grill shell when it's on,
And it makes it super tight, obviously, and it's made this little dent out of the grill shell there. So I may be able to space the overflow tank. Oh, thank you. So I may be able to space the overflow tank away from the radiator a little bit right there and bring it away from the grill shell. And then another thing I saw was a little bit of coolant down here. So I pulled the overflow tank off and it looks like it's leaking at that bottom seam. So I'm going to be sending an email to Brassworks and hopefully they'll just send me another overflow tank because that one's definitely leaking. And then I'll put it on with some spacers right here and space it back a little bit so it doesn't interfere with the grill shell. I think it should be fine like that. But yeah, it seems like measurements on the radiator are good. So that is probably not the main problem with the hood not fitting. So let's try and jack. Thank you. Let's try and jack this thing up a little bit and see what happens there. All right, so I have it jacked up right now and it's about level, pretty much flush on there, but I got a lot of pressure on that jack. And I also loosened the steering clamp so that that doesn't mess with the gas tank at all. But the body to the frame here, it's all wood and it's stuck to the frame rail, so it's not lifting the body at all. It's just kind of tweaking the cowl a little bit. And the doors still shut fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. This one is a little bit more difficult to shut. I think it's touching on the bottom, which makes sense. If you're jacking the cowl up, it's going to push the back of the door down. And it's still usable. I don't think it's going to be a problem because if I fix that and then put shims back, let the weight off it, it's going to untweak the cab, and then I don't think that door will be a problem. So not too worried about tweaking the cab, but I think I can repair that. So I'm going to take it apart a little bit, clean it up, and get it ready to weld it. All right, I got my template made here. Little cardboard. Just need to make this out of steel now. All right, well, we went from our cardboard template to the real thing made out of steel. I'm pretty proud of that piece. I've never formed anything like that before, so there you go. It's a pretty tight fit in there, which is perfect. So I'll weld that up later, and it should be pretty good to go. I'm back the next day to finish up welding, and it's raining like crazy. It's hailing, I think, and we have a metal roof, so it's loud in here. All right, all done. I'm pretty happy with that. Outside looks pretty dang good. Once it's painted, won't be able to really tell. Inside, couldn't get the welder to behave until too late, so the inside is a little bit globby, but it'll be fine. It's strong. And I had to cut down the washer because of the extra welds, but it all fits. Should be getting new rubbers tomorrow. And now I just need to work on that crack. There's a crack there and a tiny one starting. So we'll do that side and see how that goes. All right, passenger side is done. That one was a little bit easier. I just added that triangle gusset there. Welded the bottom crack, welded the front crack. It's not factory, but it's probably stronger than it was, which is all I really wanted. Just blended in with some flat black, so you can't really tell. After jacking the body up and down a little bit, seeing how it behaves, this is not going to help with the radiator fit or the hood fitment at all. It's going to end up in the same place it was. The doors are going to be fine, but at least the cab mounts are structurally sound now, and they should be fine. And we'll have to figure out how to deal with the hood fitment a different way. And while I've been doing that, my dad's been painting a bunch of stuff, cleaning and painting. We've got oil pan, oil filler, getting started on the engine here. But he's got transmission and new oil filter kit and the oil drain pipe. Found that cracked bell housing bolt mount. Trying to get a new bell housing, but he painted the cover. Currently working on cleaning up the shift tower. And I think he did the engine mount too. And then here's the dipper tray he pulled out of the oil pan. He said there was a bunch of gunk in the bottom of the oil pan, so it'd been a while since it was cleaned. But I still need to weld up these rear engine mounts. I ground those out so I could weld them. Those are all the cracks. I'm going to pull the other engine mount too, just to make sure there's no cracks in it. I'll have to clean it up and check it out. All right, well, the cowl mounts are done. And I think that's about it for this week. Next, got to do these engine mounts, pull that engine mount, repair the engine mount. And then we'll be turning this engine over and checking the clearances on the babbits and adjusting if necessary. So if you want to see that, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.